Hello. So, second game for today. This position, Dink played h3 in World Championship match. So what it means? Okay. He doesn't want to play more popular moves, which everybody knows. So he likes to play this position, but with pawn on h6. So this extra tap. So from now he's playing with black, but with pawn on h6. Доброго вечора, Стефа. От аж третій грав Дінг Лірен. Я пояснюю, що якби з цього моменту він грає якби чорними, але з зайвим темпом аж 7, аж 6. What I'm thinking, okay, quite interesting play today. Jan outplayed his opponent quite convincingly. So it looks he has better chances to win, but okay, there are many games more, everything can be changed. So h3, what black should play? Everything what they want. D takes c4 was played, of course c5 was possible to play Panov attack. If bishop g5, c takes d4, knight takes d4, queen b6. So takes, e3, this. In this endgame, obviously white cannot pretend for advantage. It's equal position. So if compare with Caro-Kann, white has extra temp h3, but okay, it's not important at all. I mean, if somebody doesn't know, I will show same position can appear from Caro-Kann. Yes, go on. During last time, although this move is popular, because if knight d6 takes castle, white has good attacking chances according to modern theory or according to modern computers. I don't know how to explain it. But old line is queen b5, queen d7, so we have same position, only pawn on h6 or on h2. Okay, but during last time many players plays a6. It's new fashion in this position. If c takes d5, knight takes d5, bishop c4, bishop e6. If bishop b3 takes e6, and position more or less equal. So probably Dink was planned to play a3 here. Same, but with extra tempo. It looks extremely strange, but who knows. Okay, so d takes c4, very logical. So black plays queen's gambit accepted, and now we can see that instead of natural move bishop c4, bishop takes c4, white played h3, stupid move. No, I mean d4, d5, c4 takes, e3, knight f6, knight f3, e6. So now bishop takes c4, everybody plays, and this is totally correct, but in the game we have seen h3. It's strange. But okay, it was happen. So e3 now c5, b5 also possible. It's a line which Evgeny Romanov likes to play with black. I mean, in classical Queen's Gambit accepted. I mean, this position. d4, d5, c4, d takes c4, e3, b5, a4, b4. Bishop takes c4, queen f3 is threat now, but okay. e6, knight f3, knight f6, castle, bishop b7. It's line of Evgeny Romanov, and then black wants to play knight bd7, c5, bishop e7, castle, more or less this move. Okay, so of course black could play same, but with h3. So b5 is totally logical. b3 immediately doesn't work because after this, okay, probably there is some compensation for the pawn, but hard to believe that white can fight for advantage with such a compensation. But if a4, b4. Now if play c6, takes b3, it's quite good for white. a4, b4, bishop takes c4, bishop b7, so Romanov in action, but with extra tempo. So c5. Oh, of course, black can play a6. If a4, they are ready to play c5 and knight c6, and it has weak square b4. And if bishop takes c4, b5 is possible, and then plan for black is simple: bishop b7, knight bd7, c5. Not necessary to hurry with c5. So idea to play c5 only when white cannot exchange queens anymore. But okay, so c5 normal move, bishop takes c4, a6, so castle, knight c6. Very natural looks b5 and bishop b7, knight d7. So, of course, depends where bishop is going. But for example, if bishop e2, very logical start with knight bd7 to avoid d takes c5 in exchange of queens, and then bishop b7 is coming. Black has nothing to complain. But okay, knight c6 totally normal. But now, if white wants, they can simplify position with d takes c5, queen takes d1, rook takes d1, bishop takes c5, and now there are two options. So a3 is possible to prepare b4, or b3 is possible to prepare bishop b2. Okay, this is endgame, more or less equal, but totally safe for white, of course. So only black needs to play accurately. It's not so difficult probably, but okay, if for example I have choice, I would prefer white in this position. I'm not sure a3 or b3 what is better. This is not so easy question for me. Both looks interesting. Probably approximately equal level of moves a3 or b3. But knight c3, b5, bishop d3, bishop b7, so a4. So now Dink starts to play aggressively, but b3 square, it's weak. Of course, black can try to equalize, for example, takes, rook c8, but has no special advantage. If knight e5, bishop d6 is possible, something like this. But okay, I can try bishop d2. Now this queen d7. It's approximately equal position. But Jan played knight e5, very interesting move. So it's very aggressive move. And after this move, white has choice what to play. So they could take on c5 or they could take on f6. Dink took on f6. Knight takes c5 looks like very logical, because now white has pawn up and advantage of two bishops. But still problem with bishop on c1. So white need to develop this bishop somehow, but it's unfortunately for them it's not so easy. And position is spicy. For example, if black starts with rook c8, white can try e4. So dream of white to develop his bishop c1 I mean, as soon as possible. So, bishop takes e4, bishop takes a6, not so pleasant, so knight takes e4, c6. Bishop takes c6, bishop takes a6. Now this endgame looks like more pleasant for white somehow, because there are some tactical threats even. So bishop is ready to go to e3, but not so clear that rook c8. Knight d7, c6 is possible. After bishop takes c6, knight d4 with tempi, something like this. Or even bishop d2 is now is possible. This idea if knight c5, bishop takes b4, knight d3, bishop a5, and white is pawn up. It's very difficult to realize such kind of pawn, of course, but okay, at least only white can play for win in this position. Probably castle's the most principle, just keep tension, because for white it's not so easy to develop pieces. But okay, maybe e4 is possible. So in such kind of position, e3, e4, it's very essential idea to consider. And for example, bishop takes e4, bishop takes e4, queen takes d1, white has bishop takes h7. And, this endgame, b1, knight takes c5, looks like more or less drawish. No, I can play simply b3. Maybe not b3, so maybe something else. Bishop e3, black can take on a4, however. I don't see possibility to win this knight, because if bishop d4, this idea, rook a1, black can play rook c8. Okay, b3, maybe black can try to utilize c3 square. Knight goes to e4 and then knight goes to c3. It's can be a problem for white, but I don't know how big this problem. So queen takes d1 probably is precise, because if knight takes, okay, maybe we can consider this rook takes and but now if bishop e3, knight b3, it's coming, and this is unpleasant. So this was idea why I played queen takes d1, because if knight takes e4, bishop e3, and now white can take with another rook to avoid knight b3. Knight c4 is possible, but after knight c4, bishop d4. It's not so clear, because white is ready for rook c1. Okay, also possible to consider just bishop e2, but now queen takes d1, and if Rook d1, knight b3. So weakness of b3 square is quite annoying for white. Knight d4 is also possible, for example. Maybe this is the best choice for white. If e5, knight f5 is coming, and this is important that black cannot play queen d5 because knight e7. Is that everything okay with chat? So can everybody hear me and see me? Good. So knight d4, what else? Queen d5 is possible immediately. Okay, I will play f3 and now I am ready to play bishop d2 next move. If e5, knight f5 again. If rook d8, I have time for bishop d2. If e5, bishop b4. Now looks very nice. So knight d4 is totally possible. Okay, after f3, black can just take the pawn, but no, okay, now white play bishop d2 and problem of his bishop more or less solved. So in my opinion, knight takes c5 was strong move. Why? I will explain why. Maybe not objectively, but according to my feeling of chess. So if you are playing chess, you must be responsible for your moves. So if you played h3 in fourth move, so you need to build your strategy that h3 will be useful somewhere, or at least will not spoil your position. Okay, usually in many openings, white plays h3 with another ideas. For example, if we are talking about King's Indian, now h3, there are two ideas. One idea is to prevent knight g4 or bishop g4 if knight will go to f3. And another idea to prepare g4. Also in Sicilian, if we have e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, takes, knight f6, knight c3, a6, h3, same idea. So to play g4 or to play bishop e3, not allow knight g4. So this is understandable. But okay, now somewhere g4 is possible. For example, this knight c3, castle, maybe this, queen c2, g6, g4. At least it's possible to consider. Maybe it's quite logical. But in the game we have seen something different. So now it's hard to believe that black wants to play knight g4 and bishop g4 is already not possible because pawn on e6. And also hard to believe that white is planning to play g4 in some moment because black is ready for b5, bishop b7, and actually white is doing short castle. So h3 is just window for his king. Probably it can be useful in this structure. For example, after this, if white will play somewhere e4, h3 can be useful move because black will not have knight g4 possibility. So it's possible. But okay, in the game we have seen another position, and now it's problem because uh, somewhere bishop takes f3 can be threatened. For example, if white plays b3, bishop takes f3. It's possible. Before one move before bishop takes f3 doesn't work because white can take with queen and rook a8 is hanging. It's obvious, but after castle, bishop takes f3 can be a positional threat somehow. For example, after b3, bishop takes f3, white cannot take with queen anymore. After g takes f5, queen d5. So, in some variation, h3 can be weaker pawn than on h2. It's important to understand this. And now black has good contraplay. So because b3 is hanging, rook d8 is threat. So because of this, my plan is to play knight d4, and I think this position is totally acceptable for white. But why I don't like knight f6? Because after g takes f6, black wants to play rook g8 in some moment and have pressure against g2. If pawn on h2, somewhere white can play g3 and stop black attack. But with pawn on h3 to play g3, it can be vulnerable or can be just losing. So black has idea queen c7 and after g3, rook takes g3. So now there is damage that h3 will be uh, not just useful. Okay, knight h2 maybe, but in which moment it can be good, it's I don't know. So because of this, knight takes f6 I don't like. Maybe it's playable, maybe it's a good move, but I don't like this move. So in my opinion, knight takes c5 was the best move, and objectively it is black who is fighting for draw, for equality, although it's playable position. But after knight f6, it's double-edged position. Important moment that d takes c5 looks logical, just exchange and e4, and now white is ready to play bishop f4, and probably why not with queen? Okay, with queen is possible, but if take with queen, white has e4 idea. Now bishop g5 is coming, so this is not so pleasant. White has initiative because development of pieces is better for white. So probably black should play h6 already. If c takes d4, bishop g5, queen g6, rook c1 even can be unpleasant. So white has quite huge advantage of development, or just queen e2 is possible because knight b3, bishop b5, it's checkmate, so it's dangerous to play with such a queen. So, but g takes f6 is logical because black wants to utilize g line. And very important that after d takes c5, probably f5 is the strongest way. So black is fighting against bishop. And how to develop this bishop, it's not clear question because if queen e2, knight b3, it's coming. Okay, maybe it's possible. I mean, this knight takes e1, e takes f5 with attack. Okay, maybe. If knight takes c5, rook d1. Okay, so maybe it's possible, but okay, it's quite brave decision. So white needs to be ready for some sacrifice, but it's logical. So d takes c5. Okay, if not f5, if natural, so now more or less I like position of white because white is ready to play bishop f4, rook c1. If queen c7, probably bishop will go somewhere, maybe even to h6, and again white plan to play rook c1 and try somewhere bishop g7 also threat, of course. Or white must be careful about queen g3, of course. So again, we can see that h3 not always use move, but at the moment I hope it is not losing for white. So there is knight e1, and probably white is okay, although it's not clear question. So black bishop is attacked, so bishop b6 looks like logical. And what is this? Maybe black is okay here, I don't know. But okay, this variation is not forced, so maybe bishop h6, maybe not the best. Maybe queen c2, white can consider, for example. Now bishop e3 is threat, so if rook c8, queen e2 is possible to attack. If knight b3, rook b1. It's quite complicated game, but both has trumps. So d takes c5, it's interesting move. So I will come back in 2 minutes, please. Yes, of course, there are many questions. For example, here, black can also consider queen d5. It's logical move, but not obvious. So white has some active ideas. For example, queen e2 is possible, and now if knight b3, bishop c4. So this is disadvantage. If rook d8, rook d1 is coming. This idea, bishop b5 check. It's somewhere also. e4 can be threat. And also, okay, so I am trying to do my best, but I know that I'm making a lot of mistakes. For example, yesterday I explained that after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, this. So I remember it already that in my childhood, my game against Dauto was knight c3. He played knight d7, d4, takes, castle. I played bishop e3. And he played knight e5. I played queen e2. He played knight g4, rook a d1. So this was queen e8, f4, something like this. Later I won this. Position is complicated, but I won later. So, something like this. But okay, I explained it that b takes c6 is just bad because white can take and queen g4. So during the stream, I started to during the stream yesterday, I started to calculate knight d6, queen takes g7, bishop f6, queen h6, bishop e5, rook e1, queen e7, d4, bishop takes h for queen f1. But okay, it's good for white, but even more simple to play queen g3. So, and white has healthy pawn up. But so I just explained it that after queen g4, white wins material, but it's not true because black has knight g5 and white is not winning any material because black wants to play d6. So in this position, it's totally okay for black. So it means that queen g4 it's not the best move at all. We can also remember game between Evgeny Sveshnikov and Oleg Romanishin. So a5. Sorry, not here. So bishop c5 firstly was played. Bishop d2, a5, a3, bishop e7. And now, according to modern theory, bishop e3 is correct. This idea to prepare knight c3 if knight f6, although for black is better probably bishop f6, c3, knight e7. But Sveshnikov played after bishop e7, bishop c3, knight f6, e4, knight e5, knight e4, queen g4, knight g5. Same idea, and black has excellent positions. So sometimes knight g5 it's very important resource against queen g4, and important to know this and don't forget this. So b takes c6. Of course, white can play knight c3, d6, d4, this structure, but it's playable. So white is slightly better. Usually we have this position from this move order. If black plays d6, takes, d4. So here, after b takes c6, white can play knight c3 or rook e1, d6, d4. Also, knight e5, it's also possible. d4 is also possible here. And after d4, probably the best for black is just play castle. To play this position. Okay, white has initiative, but I don't know how strong it is. Knight takes d4, rook e8. Knight f5, bishop f8. So Quadsio variation, knight g7. Yes, if you are well prepared, why not? So knight takes e5, knight e4. Probably better for white just play rook e1, knight f6, d4, castle c4. Bishop g5 is possible as well, but after bishop g5, rook e8. Also c4, sorry. c3 may be also possible, but with idea queen b3, but c3, rook b8 probably. So c4, maybe bishop b7, knight c3, d6, knight d3, something like this. Okay, so white has pleasant position, but it's not direct refutations. But so please not play queen g4. Okay, so let's come back. So we are here, and I explained that d takes c5 was a very reasonable alternative. Idea to prepare e4 if f5, queen e2, so this e4, if knight takes e1, e takes f5. Of course, it's rook sacrifice, so it's but white has threats, not so easy to fight with them. So it's unclear for me. At least white has practical chances. But didn't Liren play e4? This is understandable. If black takes, he will take. After bishop c5, he can play same position after knight f3 if he wants. Probably this is the best, but also bishop e3 looks interesting. This idea, if, for example, queen b6, rook c1, if rook d8, rook takes c5, and knight takes e6. So it looks promising, but Nepo played c4. So now he has thrown b3 square for his knight, and white has center, but it's very unclear position. So queen c7, black is ready for long castle, black is ready for rook g8, and as I explained it, so queen c7 is not only to prepare long castle, but also with idea to prevent bishop f4. So I suppose that if rook g8, bishop f4 be played, because for white it's good idea to exchange some pieces. I mean, after bishop d6. Also, even here, position is totally unclear for me. So probably black is not worse at all. But queen c7 prevent this. After queen c7, g3 almost never possible. Course, rook g8 to prevent bishop f4, and rook takes g3. It's eventual threat. And okay, but position is totally unclear, so white needs to consolidate his forces somehow, and then to be ready to play b5 in some moment, sacrifice pawns. The most logical looks to play bishop e3, for example, rook g8, rook c1. So important to have two pawns protected, e4 and d4. Okay, so long castle, for example, and now probably queen e2, something like this looks logical. So if king b8, rook fd1, and somewhere white wants to play d5, probably even with pawn sacrifice. And, okay, so somewhere king will have square f1. It's important for defense. For example, if f5, e takes f5. If queen c6, even king f1 is possible. But maybe other moves are possible as well. So here, c6. Okay, always d5 necessary to check, but at the moment I'm not sure what to do with after rook takes d5. So probably king f1. Okay, so white has pawn up, also black has some compensation, but was very important to keep defended e4 and d4 pawns both. So But Dink played bishop d2, probably with some tactical ideas. But now d4 pawn is not so well protected, and white has problems. So probably queen e1 was possible, but queen e1 just queen b6, and not so clear how white can utilize. Okay, bishop d3 it's possible, but king b8, bishop takes c4. Now knight takes c4, rook takes c4, f5 can be unpleasant, for example. Okay, I don't know how clear this is. Maybe exactly in this position white is good, but it's very far from obvious. For example, if bishop takes b4, I mean, bishop takes e4, so bishop takes f3 is threat. So after bishop takes f8, bishop takes f3 already. Okay, maybe white is okay here, I don't know. So need to check because rook b4 is a strong threat. So probably just here white is okay, but it's very unclear even now. King a8, for example. So with such a diagonal, everything can happen. Okay, probably black has some other ideas, so probably just a5 is possible. So play without pawn, but with idea to play bishop d6. If bishop f4, for example, bishop d6, bishop d6, rook takes d6, and then black has even two threats. So one threat is to play f5, another threat is to play bishop a6 and win exchange. Okay, but it's question how clear this is. So доброго вечора. So, for example, white can consider queen e3, bishop a6, rook c1. This exchange sacrifice with idea queen f4. Probably white is not so bad. So at least it was quite logical idea to utilize bishop on d2. Of course, also f5 need to be considered because now white cannot take on f5 anymore. So knight f3 is not protected. After bishop takes b4, bishop takes, queen takes, pawn takes e4, and black has threats too. Probably even very strong threats. Not only knight is hanging. If knight moves, rook takes d4 is possible. So f5 is quite serious move. But after f5, probably I can play d5, something like this. Maybe it's just bad, but white has some ideas. For example, this. If f5, bishop takes f5, and queen e6 check. So probably it's bad, but I'm not sure. No, for example, this bishop takes d5, queen g3. So what is this? Mm, no. Nobody invited me for this match. So I am totally neutral. I am not helping to anybody. Don't worry. So I am just enjoy it with good chess. So queen e1 anyway was interesting possibility, principal possibility, but anyway bishop d2 is dubious according to me and according to Dubov too. So bishop e3 looks like more logical, more in spirit of this position. but he played rook c1, and also probably if consider queen e1 idea, probably immediately queen e1 has try attack immediately. Because now if f5, probably d5, it's more reasonable than with rook c1 and long castle. Because now if long castle, white can consider bishop takes b4 as well. So probably this is more reasonable. Bishop c5, queen g3, okay, there is this idea, but question how strong it is, so we can check. So queen g3, I will play knight h4. What is this? Frankly speaking, I like white's position. Maybe I'm not right, but maybe no. So it's important that after bishop takes b4, I will not take here. So now it's black has at least draw, probably black can play also for win, but important that after bishop takes b4, I will take queen. So there is no pin anymore, and now white is winning. So knight h4, and knight h4 is only move. But so I like white's positions. I don't see. If queen takes h4, bishop takes c5, queen takes h3, g3, and okay, position is very sharp, very wild, but okay, maybe it's good for black, well, but who knows? So we can check. So this g3. If f4, I have bishop d6. This is my idea. So probably castle, for example. If queen takes a5, rook takes g3. Black has at least draw. Probably black is... After queen takes a5, also f4. Rook takes d5. If black to move, yes, but white to move now. Okay, maybe it's good for black. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe you are right that black has very strong attack, and very, because also f4 can be threat. Mm. Okay, so d5, bishop c5. But okay, after bishop c5, I can consider king h1 as well. Probably this is more reasonable choice to defend against queen g3 and try to attack on b4. So position is extremely sharp, but c3, b takes c3, b3, okay. White has several options. Even c4 can be considered. But also just bishop d3, why not? Also c4. So white should play something with queen e1 if they played bishop d2, in my opinion. But he played rook c1, castle, and now, okay, queen e1, f5 already, it's possible. As I explained it. But he played bishop d3, and after king b8, it's not clear what to do, because if white taking on c4, always e4 is. Queen e2 never possible because c takes d3. So queen e1, now f5, it's much stronger than before because black also has idea f takes e4 to win piece by fork. So if just take and to play this, okay, at least black can play this, but probably there are some other motifs, like knight b2 is possible to consider even. Knight takes d2 is possible as well, but probably this is not a good choice for black. Queen f6, black. Oh, so even this it's pretty unclear. So white has a lot of pawns, but okay, rook d7, for example. Maybe even here black is very good because against queen they has two bishops and rook, and black pieces are very well coordinated. So even this is possible. So he played rook e1, but now f5, and it's very difficult to play for white now because all pieces are hanging, and black has idea somewhere to play f6. No, I don't think it was preparation. So okay, probably if he prepared something, I think in my opinion, so I think he considered b5. So I think he didn't consider knight c6 at all. Or if he considered, so it wasn't big prep. So b5 very natural. So now was main part of his preparation. I don't know where he wanted to put his bishop to this. No, I don't believe that on b3. So on d3 or e2. Okay, white has no advantage because h3 it's not logical moving. Queen's gambit accepted. b5 is totally logical. It cannot be bad. So it's objectively this is strongest move. So I think Dink mainly prepared this position. So and after knight c6 he started to play with his own head, and he chose knight c3 sharp because more solid, more safe possibility d takes c5, and now white is playing without risk. But okay, it's probably white is not pretending for something special, but very solid position. So bishop b2, knight bd2, bishop e2 is coming. So it's even white is slightly better. I can tell, but so after knight c3, it's double-edged position. But okay, it was his choice. So he was in fighting mood, but from now he started. Okay, he played sharply, but now bishop d2, and then after this move, he's in big trouble because he cannot take on c4 for many reasons, and he cannot take on f5 because rook takes d4 is coming. And white has big problem. Pieces are hanging. Of course, take the rook is not possible because this just checkmate. So this bishop h6 checkmate, or if king f1, standard checkmate. So now white is in trouble. Okay, probably king h1, something like this, but after king h1, f6 is coming, and queen g7 is threat, so it's very difficult. Okay, maybe d5 was the best chance. Try to give pawn somewhere, but okay, it's more easy to recommend such a move then played in World Championship match, and objectively black is very good after f takes e4, bishop takes e4, f5. But okay, now d6. Okay, d6, queen g7. Sorry, this is important. So my idea was if bishop d6, bishop takes b7, then take on e6, create some contraplay. But after queen g7, probably I'm just losing the piece without serious compensations. So now it's quite difficult. He played bishop c2, okay, but if in such sharp position to play bishop d3, c2, bishop d3, and then bishop c2 back, so it's total collapse of white strategy. It's very clear. So black has much better position, excellent attacking chances. So it cannot be good. So of course, Dink have understood this, but he he didn't find any good alternative. So now, okay, f6 is a good idea to prepare queen g7. Again, if e takes f5, rook takes d4 is coming with same ideas. But knight c6 played Nepo. So also reasonable idea. Bishop g5. Okay, white need to do something. Knight takes d4 is very direct threat, so d5 can be alternative, but position is hardly good for white. Okay, so for example, if takes, rook takes d5. Rook e8, white has some contraplay, but probably just f takes e4. Take on c6, take on f3 looks pretty unpleasant for white. Maybe it's just losing. Because also, as I explained, white never can play g3. Okay, maybe there is some chance. Who knows? Bishop e4. Bishop takes e4, rook takes e4. If rook takes d2, rook takes c4. Maybe white has... No, it's not so clear, probably. So white gave a piece, but there are some threats. Okay, so bishop e4. Of course, rook takes d2, maybe. If bishop takes c6, bishop c5, this looks like quite strong situation. Is very bad for white. So rook f1 is only move, but rook g3 is coming somewhere. Again, thanks to h3. Okay, so this looks like very bad position for white. If queen fe4, just c3, it's possible. Takes some move. Even rook takes c3 is possible. Okay, black should win this. Okay, but probably d5. Okay, bishop takes e4 is also possible to consider. Now, so white, so if takes, bishop takes h7, rook g7, bishop somewhere, okay, so, or bishop f5 probably more reasonable. Okay, at least white is not forcing, white is not losing by force. So probably black has strong attack after bishop d6, but it is fight. So in the game it wasn't fight. So d5 probably was the best choice for white anyway. But so we can calculate. So f takes e4, e takes d5. Black has no alternatives. So after e takes d5, e takes d5, rook takes d5, rook e8. Okay, it's fight. It's and so king a7, bishop e3. So rook d8, rook takes d8. So white has clear contraplay. f5 is knight d8. Okay, maybe possible, but white will play queen e2. So it's not so clear position. So f takes e4, bishop takes e4. Okay, maybe f5, d takes c6, f takes e4, but I am not sure this is strong. Okay, we can check, we analyze. What is this? Okay, it's principal question. Okay, d takes c6. What is this? Maybe it's good for black, but necessary to check all possibilities accurately. So, for example, if c takes, e takes, if bishop f4, bishop d6 is coming, or rook takes. Okay, but it's very far from clear, at least for me. So rook takes g2, for example, king f1, bishop d6. I can take on d6. Oh, also probably rook takes c4 is possible. Rook takes c4, queen takes c4 with check. So rook takes c4. Rook takes c4 may be possible with king on h1, however. So for example, if image king h1, if bishop d6, rook takes c4, there is ideas. But okay, it's this rubbish because bishop f4, if rook c7, rook d1, and black wins. So this is not idea. So king f1. But okay, after bishop d6, white should take probably, and then take on f3. So situation is very far from clear. So, looks like playable position for white. So after bishop g5, he lost very quickly. So d5 was his last real chance. But okay, probably knight c6 wasn't the best move. So d5, d takes c6. Sorry. So d takes c6 is bad move. But so bishop takes e4. Rook takes e4. Okay, rook takes c4 may be possible as well. E takes d5, rook g4 to block g line. And then bishop f5 is coming. Okay, black is pawn up. It's black is better, but there's a lot of play. But bishop takes e4 and bishop takes h7 is more natural. Okay, I admit that black should be better, but it's a lot of play. So we are here, f5, d takes c6, this, bishop f4. So I don't see refutations. So probably it's just playable position for white. How long usually prepare depends of opponent, depends of my mood, depends what I want to play. So what can I say? So d5 was the best. Probably the best for black takes, bishop takes main line. This bishop takes h7, rook g7, bishop f5. But at the moment d4 not possible because c4 is hanging, so If bishop d6, bishop h6 is possible. So the situation is very far from clear. Of course, after rook g8, white cannot take on d5 because knight e5 is coming. But okay, white can play something reasonable, I hope. Maybe bishop e3. Okay, bishop e3, d4. So white need to be careful, of course. Bishop g5, I afraid f6 can be strong. If bishop takes f6, rook f8. But okay, it's playable position. So uh, only question, what is the best move for white? Okay, objectively, black is better, I agree, but it's not finish of game. Maybe even h4 is possible. Try to fight for g5 square somehow. But okay, after bishop g5, so situation is game is over. So black has so huge domination. So in this match, in many games, Nepomniachtchi trying to play for domination. In game one, he tried. In Spanish, he didn't win. So here, full domination. And today, he totally dominated. Okay, today he won with nice combination, but before he played for domination. So now white is totally losing because knight on d4 is very strong. If he takes f5, many possibilities. Maybe bishop h6 even, or queen. Maybe queen f4 also possible. If knight f7, knight f3, and this queen g5, something like this. So situation is very bad for white already. Also knight on d4 is terrible piece. If bishop d3, simply queen e7 is possible. So white is totally losing. So queen h5 played Dingley. Okay, about today, so I will annotate later game of today, so it's not my plan. It wasn't my plan to annotate game from today. I will, so now game 2, then I will comment game 3, game 4, but well, so now bad news for white, so queen h5 doesn't help, f6, simple. So knight h7, it's possible, but quite hopeless. Okay, but maybe practically it was the best chance. Who knows? So why not? At least I took the pawn. I'm attacking the bishop and I want to take on f5, so I am fighting. Okay, but what Jan should calculate? Knight takes h7, so I think he prepared something really unpleasant. I suppose that bishop c5 was the idea. And if knight takes f6, queen g7 is coming. Suddenly, white knight is trapped because queen h4, knight f3 check. But okay, so if just take. Very dangerous for white, but maybe they are still in the game. Maybe not. I mean, it's probably possible. Rook g8 and white cannot defend g2 square and very close. Okay, maybe it's not direct lost. Who knows? Queen f4 after, yes, queen f4 looks like reasonable, I agree, but after queen f4 my plan was to play queen g4, so I didn't see how black win. Sorry, don't forget about pawn on h3. We have this again thanks to pawn on h3. So with pawn on h2 white can take knight, but with pawn on h3 queen g3 is coming and black wins immediately. And so king h1 it's just checkmate. If king f1 knight d2 and game is over. Or king e2 queen e5. So again we have illustrations that h3 wasn't not just wasn't useful move, it was bad move for such structure because black has many additional motifs to utilize g3 square. Yes, so knight takes h7 it's losing, but knight f3 is losing as well. So black just took, bishop takes e4. Okay, maybe white can fight longer after rook c1, but objectively they have no real chance to survive because black has attacking chances also. c3, c2 is coming, so only question how long white can fight, but the result it's more or less obvious. Bishop d6 now. If knight d4 c3 is coming, it's important. The situation is very bad for. So, for example, again, we can see. So, with pawn on h2, okay, probably bishop takes h2 is possible, but after queen takes h2, queen takes, king takes, rook takes d4, f3, bishop d3, rook e6, it's not so clear. But now bishop h2, another illustration that h3 was bad for white. So now bishop h2 is wins in spot. Okay, rook takes e4 is possible, but after f takes e4, where will go your knight? Knight d2, only logical. Maybe you are right. At least it cannot be woven in the game. So c3, b takes c3. Okay, probably c3 is the best. If b takes c3, just f5. I am not optimistic about white chances in this position. If knight takes e4 after c3, f5 as well is coming. So, losing. But what he played doesn't help. Rook d4, c2 simply. and e5, elegant final move. So white resigned because rook has no square. After rook d2, c1 is coming. So okay, white can take the bishop with rook, but it's totally hopeless. He's 2 pawns down and he's fighting against c2 pawn. So nice victory for Jan Nepomniachtchi in second game. Are there any questions to me? Probably about this game. If you don't play h3, okay, it depends what white played. So of course h3 it's not. It depends what they want. Of course, if white plays e3, d takes c4, everybody will take on c4. So very hard to find player who will play h3 in this position. But after e3, okay, black has other possibilities. For example, a6 is quite popular move. b6 is possible. Bishop e7 is possible. So many moves. c5 is possible as well, but now white has this idea. Bishop d7, bishop takes d7, knight b d7, d takes c5, bishop takes c5, or knight takes c5. Knight takes c5, castle, bishop e7, knight c3, castle b3. Okay, now white is slightly better according to theory. But okay, I don't think that after e3, okay, d takes c4 is playable move, of course, but I think Jan Nepomniachtchi would play something else. But what exactly, I don't know. Probably bishop e7. But if bishop e7, main plan for white is b3, after castle, bishop b2, and then knight bd2. So, okay, so I don't know what Jan Nepomniachtchi wanted to play against e3. Surely he prepared, he had some program, because e3, okay, probably not main move, but quite popular. So many good players played e3. So it must be okay, maybe not such a deep preparation, but if Nepomniachtchi decide to play this position with black, so he was thinking what he will play against e3. I have no idea what exactly he chose. Okay, so for today it's enough. Thanks for your attention. Вітання зі Львова. Слава Україні! Ми переможемо. До побачення. Good night.